welcome to another movie week on Inspired Content. I was wandering around Netflix and found a movie called Antboy. Its description was weird enough that it had me curious. So, I'm going to take a look at this and then I'll give my thoughts and ideas it inspires on the other side. So, see you on the other side. Well, following the movie Antboy, I'm going to say this is sort of goofy fun. It plays like a elementary school version of the first real Spider-Man movie back in the early 2000s, I want to say. Maybe it was the 90s. They make no attempts to pretend that they're not taking that material right there. But they do play a little with it to make it almost a spoof, but it's not really a spoof. It doesn't certainly go over the top like a lot of American spoof superhero movies can be. They make a few jokes and go in weird directions with it to make it kind of funny, but at the same time they still try to do the whole kid wants to do it for the celebrity and then finds out the celebrity has a hollow reason to do it, then he quits, and he's kind of guilted into helping people because he realizes that he left somebody in a risky position because of his shallowness for his reasons for doing it, and so he has to kind of make amends for that. And it's got some of the message of it's the friends that make the hero, it's not the abilities kind of thing. But so they try to do it in that sense, and they also try to do it spoof, and they do it in a way that it's not terribly bad. It's not, I mean, if you've seen the original Spider-Man movie, you're not going to get anything new from this. You pretty much have to be new to the superhero genre to find this an amazing movie. And I think you probably have to be under the age of 12 maybe to find this an awesome movie. But I'd rate it about a 5.8 out of a 7.2. It's not bad. It's kind of funny. I'm kind of curious to see where they're going with it. It looks like there's a sequel, so I may check that out. But the points it makes me think about are, why is it always like something like a spider or an ant bites somebody and they become empowered? Why isn't it a person bites somebody or something? If a person bites a dog and the dog turns into a human werewolf hybrid kind of thing and becomes a superhero, it's a radioactive human bit a dog and now the dog is, an anthropomorphic wolf creature or something. That would be a funny spin on it. I mean, if we're going to be spoofy about it, might as well have a little fun with it. But it begs the question, humans are more likely to encounter radioactive materials and nuclear power plant accidents and that kind of stuff. We're more likely to be exposed to the nuclear source material, and maybe we're the vector of disease to something other than a human. Why is it always you have to be bitten by something? Why isn't it that you ingest something and it affects you? If you're exposed to a food that's been altered in some way without knowing it, or infected in some way, and you eat that food item, be it a steak and you become a minotaur or something like that, or maybe you're eating a vegetable and you become half plant, I don't know. But it's always something attacks you, and because you've been attacked, you become something powerful. We always see the stories of somebody getting bitten by a bug or an insect, and then being empowered with the abilities of the bug or an insect. But we never kind of asked the question, if the bug is biting and they get some of the human DNA into them and they're mutagenic in the first place, isn't it possible that the bugs become human? Or gain some of the abilities of a human? Human bit by spider or ant gains the abilities of an ant or a spider, but they never grow antennae or extra arms. Well, I mean, in the comics there was some growing of extra arms for Spider-Man further down the line because of things that happened, but they're never deformed. They never get compound eyes or anything like that. And I find it's far more likely that you're going to get altered in a way that doesn't give you superhuman abilities, and more likely to be just deformed by the bite. Which brings me kind of the point that in this one especially it's obvious, but Antboy gets abilities of an ant. The villain does pretty much the same thing, only with a flea instead of an ant, and he ends up looking like a deformed monster. It's always the villain who ends up like a monster. Like, if you're gonna write that story where one does and one doesn't, how about a heroic person who ends up deformed and looking like a monster, but being heroic? And it's the villain who gets abilities but isn't noticeably changed in form, who is a horrible, horrible person. And it's that kind of, people are more likely to see the villain as good because he's not looking monstrous, and likely to see the hero as some strange creature. And I think that would be an area where a story could be written to play with that need we have to see the human in the monster. What about bacteria? What if you got bit by a radioactive bacteria? Could you then infect other life forms? And is it possible to be heroic as an infection? I don't know. That's a tough one. I'll have to think about that one for a story at some point. That's an odd one. Alrighty, well, hopefully there's some inspiration in there for you somewhere. I'll see you for the next one. Take care.